Okay. What's up, guys? It's the first ever podcast with Dylan, myself, and then the boys.
Triple Z over here.
No, what's going on?
My name is they call me the Big Gons on the streets.
The big con.
The Big Gons.
Now, to add some context to all this, we got super baked before this. So,
I did.
the current state of our selves right now isn't prime time, but we're still going to have a great podcast. We're still going to have some great debates, maybe some tears, We'll see what happens. We only got like 20 or 30 minutes with you guys, but we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. Right. So, started off, I just want to talk about how we all met each other for the first time, because I honestly met Lucas since like my childhood. I don't even remember meeting Lucas. Like, he was just around since forever. But like meeting Zoltan through high school way later on, and then having you guys meet just coincidentally, it's just like, that was crazy. The first time I met Zoltan, the guy was just a little dickhead, man, and he knows it. And he knows it, man. I was just like new to high school. I didn't know anybody. I was just trying to fit in, like the new kid. And this little like fucking midget comes after me, and I was just I didn't know how to take it, man. And I was just I was rolling with the punches, and eventually I had to throw back. But yeah, now we're here. So
the two bench warmers in high school.
Oh yeah,
basketball.
That was
the two bench warmers.
Okay, so what is your take on that, Triple Z, Sultan?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, back in high school was like such a different time. It was so long ago, but yeah, honestly, I think when I met Dylan, I didn't really know what to think, because he's like an outgoing person. Was like always loud and trying to be friends with everybody. And like in high school, like for us, like people weren't like that, So it was like Dylan was new and he was acting different. So we were like, oh, like, let's fuck with this kid and see what happens,
And what happened?
But I mean, man, we used to shit on this kid. I'm not gonna lie.
But how did he get out?
It was like in a healthy way, Like
we
all played on the basketball team together.
On the bench.
And
on the bench.
Like centered bench, mid left bench. But yeah, I mean, we like really, I think, bonded like through playing basketball. Like we like it was like a brotherhood like on the team. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah. It ended up being like a pretty cool experience, and then we realized like, hey, like we're all like the same level at the end of the day, like we're all driven by that same motivation. But yeah, now it's like super cool. We're all doing our own shit, like out here running your pub crawls now. And
let's talk about that.
Yeah, doing all that.
How'd you connect with Lucas?
Yeah, Lucas. I went to BCIT for digital marketing in 2022, and yeah, I had a mutual friend who knew Lucas, and she introduced me like on the first few weeks of semesters, in the first semester of classes.
And by introduce, he means she pointed at me and said, "Oh, I know that guy."
Yeah.
And that was it. Love at first sight, I call it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And from there, yeah, BCIT is really where it took off.
Yeah.
Because, we got the pub crawl rolling from there.
Yeah. Let's talk about how the pub crawl started at BCIT.
Yeah. Where it really started was just like, I just walked up to you one day and I said, like, let's just do this, concept, this idea.
Yeah.
My brother had already started this concept called the pub crawl in Vancouver. And basically it's a service that is provided to anybody that wants to go out and explore the nightlife in Vancouver. You get to go to 4 to 5 different bars and nightclubs. And that eliminates your cover fee, as well as your entrance VIP, and you also get a free drink on top of that at every single location. So basically it gives you a tour of the entire city, of all the best places to go to, as well as a massive discount on every place you go to. So we get a lot of regulars, we get a lot of newcomers, internationals, and we just make sure we have a great time. We average like 40 people every week.
Let's say we average more like 25, but
we bring in, we fill up the group as the night goes on. So
Dylan brought it up to me at school one day. He said his brother had been doing. I already knew that his brother had been doing this thing called a pub crawl. I didn't know what it was, and he brought it up to me at school, and he's like, "We should do this." I asked him like 3 questions, and then we decided that day we're gonna do it, and then it started.
Yeah.
And
we
then,
we
here
initially
we
had a
are.
lot of bumps in the road. Like we had
bumps in the road.
we had a business partner that we were initially involved with. I don't know if I should even
We
mention
learned a
his
lesson,
name.
right?
But
The lesson was,
lesson was don't get involved with people you don't know.
but more importantly, we
Like,
diagnosed him with something.
oh yeah, he is a narcissist. Like,
Don't
never
do
met
business with a
never met a
narcissist.
pure narcissist in my life. But that was an interesting moment.
Yeah.
Luckily, we cut him out of that whole thing, so now we're good.
Yeah.
And now we're actually trying to like integrate ourselves into like Zoltan's profession basically at this point.
Yeah, man.
He's up and coming artist, and he's
just
looking
coming.
to
I
make
don't
the
know if
new
he's up and
wave, you know, evangelic wave. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, we've been out here for the past few years. Even when I was in school, you know, we were like still trying to pursue music. And now we finally got our own studio out here in New West, and we kind of just been trying to like, you know, stack the bread. You know,
Stack the bread.
we're trying to run some sessions and get things going. But it's been really good to be able to be like surrounded by people, you know, who are like-minded and always like pursuing the same goals. You know, so.
Yeah. I gotta say, I think it's the meeting the evangelic group was the first time I met people who I felt were like-minded in the sense that they would stand on their business, you know. And I could be like, okay, like each individual person in our group has their own thing going, whether it's the music or the pub crawl or the
Yeah, and it complements
freelance
each other.
marketing, and it all complements each other. Yeah, because it's all at the end of the day branding and marketing, and getting your name out there, and yeah, providing products and services for the people.
Yeah, I mean, I think being like young entrepreneurs is not like an easy thing, you know. It feels like you're going against the grain because everybody tells
definitely.
like take the easy route,
Man,
you know. And it's
meeting-
kind of risky, you know, trying to do your own thing, and like
and meeting a circle like that is really tough. Like just I went to university thinking like I went to UVic at first 2 years ago, thinking I was going to go to university specifically to meet people that are in my field, also interested, also driven, had that same like idea like I'm gonna make it, but there was like nothing for me there. So I went back to BCIT again, hoping for the same thing. But, you know, at this time, I wasn't even that shocked, you know, because nobody in my class had any drive. So I basically said it like, it's really up to me. And whenever I bring up the pub crawl to people in my class, like really people like look at me and say like, you're really the only person here like really doing something. And I told them before, I'm like, why don't you get involved? And, you know, like, but they really don't seem interested. They seem like that's just too much work, or why are you even bothering kind of thing, you know, like let's just go with the flow.
Yeah.
And
I think because for me personally, when I told my class about it the first time, I feel like they all, because we started so small, they thought like what's the point? It's so small, you just party and like what the heck, you're not gonna make money with that. But I think we had to get the ball rolling very slowly. At first, the first pub calls were free. We didn't even care about
it was just the
we just
concept
wanted
of
the people,
creating
yeah.
the community, you know, creating
Yeah.
that vibe,
And
getting people
we
out.
knew that if we gave something for free to them, a free pub crawl the first time, we knew the experience was good enough that they would come back and pay the next time. And that was the whole point of
And
that.
man, there's been some crazy ass moments.
We've had,
on
what
the
have we
pub
had? We
crawls.
had bachelorette parties on
Yeah.
bachelorette parties on bachelorette parties. Bottles, MILFs, cougars.
A lot of cougars.
We had a furry. Right?
Yeah.
We a
We've
furry
had
one time.
Lucas hit up on literally, I think, all the bachelorette girls in a
That's
single
not
night.
true. Only one.
Only
I
one.
didn't know she was married,
Oh well.
engaged.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of moments. I mean, Zoltan even here took care of our pub crawl when I was gone in
Yep.
Florida. I went to Disney World to go work in Florida for a little bit, so I had to give Zoltan the handle of the pub crawl. And how was that, taking care of all that stuff?
yeah, I mean, it was pretty dope to be able to like actually be out in the clubs and bringing people out. And I feel like one thing the city has always been lacking is like, you know, something for everyone to do and not feel like excluded. Because I feel like Vancouver, you know, is
Yeah.
kind of gloomy sometimes. People feel like cut off in a sense.
It's very like cliquey.
And I can
whatever
tell
the word
like there's
is.
a big need for a place where people want to go and like be together and have a good time and not worry about like some random bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just in everything, in all aspects, even in the music community and maybe in like the acting community and stuff like that. I'm sure that there's like just this feeling of like hard barriers to entry.
Anything crazy happened on the crawls? Anything memorable?
Some crazy stuff. I mean, as a host, I definitely should not have been drinking the amount of alcohol.
But
I
you
was
make the
drinking.
rules if you're the host.
Yeah, exactly. I
It's
mean,
the freedom of it all.
I think it was like the best part of it for me, like the most fun and the most entertaining was like just the characters and the people you'd be meeting. Like I meet some people who like they act like I'm like the mayor of the city with the clubs, you know, like they're always asking me things. I'm like, you gotta ask the manager, man. Like I had people like bringing like weapons and it got seized at the door of one of the clubs. And this guy was coming up to me asking if I could make an exception for him to let him bring the weapons in the club. And I'm like, bro, I'm not the management, you know, but I thought it was really funny. Yeah, a lot of the interactions I had with people. And there's some like really cool people as well. You know, I met people who are like starting their own businesses as well and like in similar fields to myself. So, you know, it was a good opportunity to like meet people from around here and like visiting from other countries, you know?
Yeah, and I like the way we merged what we were doing with the pub crawl with what you and Bryson in particular were doing with the freelance marketing stuff. So pretty much these guys, they're our film crew now, pretty much. They replaced our old camera guy.
Yeah,
He's
and
gone. Well, he's not
I mean,
gone, but
you guys made us a beautiful website too.
beautiful
and,
website.
more-
not released
more
yet.
content.
Unreleased website.
Yeah, it's unreleased yet.
Beautiful.
but it's on the way, and things are really running pretty smoothly. I like it.
Yeah.
I like how things are looking. Right now, it's getting to the point where we're gonna have to legalize, you know, and get, you know, it's almost our 1 year anniversary, right?
Almost.
And your birthday at the same
my
time.
birthday.
So we're gonna be popping some bottles then.
Big
It's gonna be
20.
fun.
Big 20.
Yeah.
2 decades of life, guys. Let me share some wisdom. After 2 decades of life, when you open a Kit Kat, you must share. That's the number one. I think we're too serious. We have to get funky with it right now.
Thanks.
Get funky with
So I was asking you some like crazy questions. And
it. Ask me a crazy question. Go for it.
all right, what is the most out of pocket thing you did on a pub crawl?
Shake ass. Problem was I did that so many times it wasn't
To
fun
who
back
though?
then.
Like
Doesn't
guys?
matter. No,
To
doesn't
guys.
matter, dude. Guys, girls.
'Cause you've done that to me
in-betweens,
quite a bit.
Done it to you.
Oh, you got to be entertaining if you're the host, you know?
Exactly.
You got to keep the people happy.
And the reason I drink so much on the pub crawl, just to make sure everyone understands, is to boost morale. That's my job. I gotta shake ass to boost morale. I gotta drink to boost
And
morale.
sometimes your morale is so low, but you still gotta shake ass.
Yeah,
Like that's
Yeah. That's the tough part.
that's the tough part, because you finding somebody to hire to take care of this pub crawl for us.
They
This
gotta
whole
have
thing,
the energy.
the energy to go out every single Saturday. Like we have a crawl tomorrow. We're gonna have to go out, shake some ass, you know,
Buy
hype some
bottles.
people up. It's gonna be. But we've done this how many times now? 56, 57 times.
60 times.
Yeah, it's getting routine.
Yeah.
But
Feels
I like it.
routine.
I like it. We're making bank. We're making bank.
Yeah.
So if we can grow this to the point where I can afford a place downtown and, you know, kind of just live off that and travel wherever I want, that is beautiful. That is a beautiful concept to me. I can do that and then move on to the next thing. My goal out of this, future goal, is to become a serial entrepreneur, because I want to have multiple companies, and they don't all have to work out, you know, but if I can start like 100 companies and have 6, 7 of them work out, I'm golden. But
so you want to like start a company, build it to a certain peak, whatever, sell it, and use the money, recycle it into a new one.
yeah, that,
How you-
or
how you gonna come up-
Buffett
that
strategy right
or
there.
you just sit on basically now the passive income that you're getting from this company, and you move on to the next. You know, you don't give as much attention to this.
Okay, so
You assign management and you assign other people
so
to
you
take care of
wouldn't
it.
you wouldn't necessarily sell the company. You would just
You'd be losing. You'd
You
be
just
losing
automate it pretty much.
Yeah, you'd basically automate it, but lose a portion of your profits
I see.
along that way. So that way you can have more time to spend on other things.
Here's a
basically.
question. You're gonna go for your BBA, Dylan.
Yeah.
I didn't do. I went
You
to
are going for your
BCIT.
BBA?
I want to. Don't even mention that, man.
The
That's
whole point I
worst
went to
part of
BCIT
my-
was to get the BBA. I decided not to.
mental
Zoltan
state right
decided
now.
not to.
Didn't want to go.
But
Yeah, man, I
But-
can't. I can't handle.
Well, I want to hear the thought process of each of you to see if I'm retarded and my decision was stupid, or if I was actually the smart one and not do the BBA.
I really think going to school and pursuing like a college degree might not necessarily be beneficial for everyone. And I really think the important part is if you're going to go to school, I think you should know what you want to do. And I feel like a lot of people be going to school just to go to school, you know.
I think most people go to school because they don't.
I feel
they
like-
don't know what they want to do.
Yeah, I think that's an issue, you know. I feel like there's a lot of other things that people could do to help be like more productive, you know. But
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I didn't want the BBA because, you know, I went to school for 2 years and I realized most of the things that I was learning, I could essentially learn on the internet.
Yeah.
I think the reason why I really did like school, especially BCIT, because it put you in like a good routine. Like, man, I was taking like 7 or 8 classes a semester, you know, which is a lot for like
It's heavy.
most schooling, right? So I think it really helped me with like practical, like hard paper skills, like, you know, time management and like dealing with stress and this and that. But
I think the main thing I took away from BCIT was two things. One, the presentations that we had to do really developed like speaking. I mean, I remember when I was in minor sports, I would be the kid in the locker room that just didn't talk. I didn't talk. I could be captain of the team and not talk. I would just sit in my corner. I'd play hard and that's it, but I would not talk. And BCIT made me value the skills of like speaking and presenting and all that stuff, which I'm still not great at, not on Dylan's natural inclinations level.
I just don't give a fuck, dude.
Me neither, but I don't have
that's
I don't
the
have
trick.
the energy to just start just yapping, you know what I mean?
Say
I have
whatever.
to practice that. But yeah, BCIT taught me presentation skills and how to do the bare minimum and get by. That's what it taught me.
Yeah, man, I
That's what it taught me.
can't really explain to you why I'm doing this BBA. I'm going through
But
this head first, and I think what my goal right now is to just fight the time with extended procrastination.
Can I be devil's advocate right now?
Yeah.
Why would you want to waste if you value your time, why are you gonna piss away your time
So-
doing something that you don't understand why you're doing?
I don't
Why
know
would you
why
do
I'm
that?
doing it, but even more reason why, like, I'm on a treadmill right now, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm putting in the work and I'm counting up the calories, and I can basically tell myself I'll either get to the 300 calorie mark or get to the 150 calorie mark and wait until, you know, maybe I'll do that extra 150 calories. But the day that day comes, it might not be tomorrow, it might not be next week, it might not be next year. And that analogy is just like, am I really going to go back to school knowing I can make so much more money and that I can maybe get into other opportunities that I don't need this piece of paper for?
Mhm.
But then I will have never explored the opportunities with that piece of paper.
So it's almost like a FOMO.
Yeah, it is a FOMO.
So Zoltan, why did you decide to not do the BBA? Because I want to compare my reasoning with your reasoning.
yeah, man. Well, I think, like I said, it's important, like, for people who really know what they want to do. Like, if you want to go to school and be a lawyer, you need to go to law school, obviously, you know? Or it's like, if you want to go work in finance or accounting, you're probably going to need to go to school for that, you know?
Mhm.
And I realized, like, because, you know, while I was in school, the only thing I was really doing was my music, right? So I had, like, all of my time taken up. I didn't have any free time. And I realized, I was like, should I devote to something that maybe I wouldn't be 100% committed to? Or should I go pursue what I really want to put my time and effort into? And I feel like I definitely made the right decision. And I feel like for a lot of people, they just need some time to like really figure it out. And I mean, it's not to say it's like an easy thing to just drop out of school and like pursue your own career. You know, I feel a lot of the times people think it's like easier said than done, right?
Mhm. I have a hypothetical scenario. What happens if you do this music thing for another 5 years? 5 years down the line, you realize you are way behind where you thought you were going to be, and now you're looking at it. You're 25, or let's say you're 30. 10 years down the line, you're 30. Your music thing still hasn't popped off. What's going through your mind? What kind of decisions are you making at that point? Because that's pretty realistic. You know?
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that could happen. And I feel like it just being accountable and realizing like, you know, if you spend a lot of time in something, you got to really be committed to giving it your 100% effort, or else you could end up in a situation like that. And if that were to happen to me, like, you know, you kind of have to look back and realize like what went wrong. I feel like it's kind of like a learning opportunity, you know. I feel like you shouldn't psych yourself out and like give yourself like overly high expectations, you know. You have to be patient with yourself, especially when you're like building a business or building a brand or building, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like yeah, you got to like take your time and really take things slowly. I'm kind of losing my train of thought here, but
no, I think at that point you'd have to reevaluate. But if you've gone that far,
it's a grind, man.
You might just have
it's just a grind. Like, it's a constant. It's worrying because you're fighting against the flow. Yeah. And the flow is just get a job and move forward with your life. Like, it's a very comfortable flow, you know, like you can ride down it without any pressure against you or anything. You know where the result is going to take you. You know where the end of the flow is going to take you. But fighting against it and getting up that mountain and going through all the, you know, maybe the sticks and the rocks that are going to come in your way, you know, like going through all that, you know, some people don't make it. Some people, you know, they falter and then they get sent all the way back down and then they give up. But the people that pursue it again and again, keep going for it, I think those people end up achieving something that's a lot more than just like what they were set out to achieve. They achieved like an inner, you know, like I fought against this and I made it, you know, like I
agree.
An inner battle that a lot of people, like right now, we're set off on that journey. We're starting this quest of like just fighting against this flow and making our own like path and making our own like a name, putting out our own name in the world.
Yeah.
But that's what it is, man. That is going to be it's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a fight, but there's a lot of people that want it, a lot of people who don't. A lot of people who just don't want that, and that's fine.
You know what it is? I feel like a lot of people, like you said, they're too comfortable. You know, I think it really takes effort to go out of your comfort zone. And yeah, I think it really goes to show, like, in life, you know, you will fail and you will like not be able to do certain things. But yeah, like I said,
dude, let me just give you a little quick question here.
We'll cut that last part.
Yeah. If I were to tell you that you had to give up music right now, okay? How would that make you feel? How would you have to, like, if you were to have to just go to like a job that you didn't really care about, you just had to give up music. You had to give up your grind, right? How much would that cost to your own, you know, like self? How would you feel going forward with your life after that?
But let's say this, you get a marketing job and you're comfortable. You're making $150,000 a year, but you got no music thing going on. You're not doing anything you're passionate about. Maybe you like marketing, you know what I mean? But let's say you're getting paid well, but you don't get to do your music stuff. How do you feel?
Okay, I think it would honestly be circumstantial. Like, you know, if I had like a family and I had shit like responsibilities to take care of, and my only option to get bread was to go and change my field completely, then in that situation I understand it. But if you're asking someone to force me to like step down from like what I'm pursuing, you know, I feel like that's like taking away like 80% of like my life. You know, I feel like obviously you're not your work, but you are what your passions are. And I am passionate for like the music and for the connections and the relationships and the lifestyle. So I think that is taking away a part of myself, and I definitely would not give that up lightly.
Yeah,
I feel like it is very circumstantial, of course. But
I think for me personally, if I was in a comfortable job making 6 figures or something, I got a nice little BMW and I got a wife and I got a house and everything's cool. I feel like that's comfortable until you hit a point, maybe a little midlife crisis, where you realize you didn't do anything you said you were going to do when you were like 13.
I think that's what a midlife crisis is.
That's the journey.
I think a lot of people at that point, a lot of people that start businesses later in life is because they hit that.
The definition of a midlife crisis is just people in their, you know, mid 40s realizing like a lot, like, what do I have? What have I achieved? And they seem to have been, they're used to this lifestyle. They're used to the you know, in the 9 to 5 or whatever job they have, and they're used to their paycheck, and they've reached, I feel like what happens is when you've been 10, 15, 20 years into a job, you've completely and understood the limitations of your revenue. So for example, if you're taking in 150,000, you know that you can afford this type of car and this type of house and this type of mortgage, this type of amount of groceries can go towards this much here, this much here. So you know your limitations. And so when you know that you can't go above those limitations because now you're backed off because of your revenue, right? You're never gonna, maybe you get a couple bonuses, but that doesn't really make a huge difference to your life, right? So it's the consistent difference that makes like change in your life is going towards things that are like putting yourself out there.
I think the difference is if you made less money doing something that you decided to do, even if it wasn't as successful, the satisfaction of that is you feel, even though you're making less, you feel the freedom.
Yeah, because I just grew up,
if you're just in your job.
I just grew up with like my parents telling me like, oh, we can't afford that or we can't afford that. But I'm like, well, we're not poor, right? Like my parents have a good job. My dad has a great salary. My mom has good salary. But that doesn't mean like we can't afford things. So why are we capped? It's because my parents learned that, you know, they have a mortgage, they can afford this, they can afford this. So they've put limitations on what they can and can't afford. And because of that, it almost makes life seem unaffordable. You know, they complain about grocery costs and all of these things. And well, they wouldn't be complaining about grocery costs if they had just that much more revenue coming in or that much more. And the difference between a lot of people is like at that point is just the quality of what you're getting. You know, the higher class are going to buy higher class food. But for example, in my parents' situation, I feel as though if they made just that much more, they wouldn't be complaining about this like the high food prices and all this like everything in the market happening, because they'd be just a little bit more comfortable with themselves. And the loss of not having that opportunity, when it hits you when you're 45 and you're having that whole crisis, you're just like, I don't have that opportunity anymore. And some people actually at that age, they'll completely change up and they'll start a business out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Sounds like you speak from experience.
I'm speaking from, I met this guy in France actually when I was backpacking around Europe 2 years ago. And this guy in Nice that I talked to, he was like 50 and he was working for this yachting company. And for the longest time, he had all these connections with these yachts, these people in the Black Sea and all these crazy billionaires, right? But he couldn't make anything of it because he was in this job. He was just like set in this, you know, managerial position. He was comfortable. He had his family. But he told me one day I just woke up and I just said like, I could totally start a business with all these connections and all these people that I know. And now he started this personalized clothing uniform company for the people that work on the yachts for these billionaires. And now he's making a lot more money than he used to. And that was simply out of like, I'm gonna go push myself out of my comfort zone. And that was the midlife crisis right there. That's what hit him. But you guys ever meet anybody that like completely switched up? Or
actually, no, I don't think I have. I've just heard stories here and there.
I don't know, man. I feel like, you know, it's a pretty common thing for a lot of people, especially here in North America, to like have those feelings, you know, especially with like a lot of office jobs and things like that. And I feel like it's been a trend lately for young people in the last like few decades here, for like people like us who want to pursue things that aren't just the safe route, because I feel like people realize how limiting that is on life. And like we see now, like in our generation, like our parents and like the way that they are at their jobs, or, you know, like not everybody had the opportunity to pursue their dreams when they were young. And I feel like we're also very blessed now where we have these opportunities.
I feel like that's the key, doing it when you're taking the risks when you're young. If you don't take them when you're young, you're kind of screwed, because the consequences of each little failure you have is just monumental.
It's also,
but if you have no expenses, you got no girlfriend, you got a little group of friends, and if you lose if I have $10,000 in my bank account, I fuck up and I lose everything I have. I only lost $10,000.
I'm not gonna lie, the boomers
All I
had
lost
it.
was
The boomers had it
$10,000.
right, man. They could go out, get a job, follow the flow, and right now any boomer out there has ended up with $1 million plus house because they just, like my parents, they just bought a house in Maple Ridge, and they didn't think they were gonna like make $1 million plus out of that, but they did. You know, and a lot of people, that's the reality of a lot of people that live in Vancouver.
But the buying power of $1 million plus right now is not even.
Yeah, they didn't
the
capitalize on the increase in price.
I'm
of the
saying
house.
like they could go retire in south of France, have a really
will
nice
they?
place. Yeah,
Will they?
they actually do.
Okay.
They want to plan on retiring.
Because I think a lot of people know the options they
Okay,
have, and they hear of like, oh, I could retire in France, or I could go here, I could do this, and it's cheaper there, and maybe I do this with my money. They have all these ideas, and then they just don't do it. They just
Well, we live outside one of like the top 3 most expensive cities.
yeah,
in the
but
world.
I feel like people that could easily move out for some reason don't move out, and I don't understand.
BC
why
is
they
a
do that.
nice place, man. I really do like BC. I like Vancouver,
Yeah, me
greater
too.
Vancouver area. It's like, if it was more affordable, obviously, then
But
we'd
that's
have
the
even
thing.
more
Like
people
our
here.
situation is kind of like screwed compared to like our parents, because how are we supposed to realistically afford $1 million plus house?
Do you
know?
think that realization is why we're so inclined towards
Yeah.
entrepreneurship?
100%.
It is,
Yeah.
and the idea that a lot of people are not pursuing that is actually insane to me, because
Yeah.
I meet some people that are just going with the flow, and I'm like, you realize we're not living in our parents' age. Like you realize like this isn't going to go well if you don't pursue anything
I
outside of
think
just.
that depends. You know, I feel like everyone's got a role to play. You know,
I
feel
get
like
I get
Someone's
that.
gotta clean the toilets,
Not
man.
everybody can be wired the same way.
Yeah.
Other people have different desires, different ambitions, and
I
I feel
almost
like
feel like-
there's a role for everybody, or
Yeah.
for anybody
Yeah.
who's willing to put an effort in to be like a contributing person. you
I'm
know?
just so driven. I want to get people on the same wave. You know, I'm just like, what are you
But
doing?
you can't force them to.
I know, but I'm almost
you gotta
like
find the right people.
I'm
just gotta
almost
find
like
the right
pleading
people.
for them to like realize, like, open your eyes. Like, you have to move forward with what is it, like, just thinking about your future is, in our terms, just necessary. Like, you have to like think about like what you're going to be doing, because without that, you're just kind of blowing yourself into whatever direction the economy is going to be blowing in, and
Yeah.
that's it's not a good lifestyle. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
not the lifestyle I want.
What I think about a lot is, for example, my dad always had a good salary, and he always spent less than he had to, always lived below his means, but he didn't know what to do with the extra money. No one taught him anything about financial literacy or
Not child support.
They put him in
Whoa.
child support, and
That's where the extra
and
money went to.
buying me a car, which is nice, and
Oh yeah, bought you a car.
paying for university, but he didn't know how to invest his money or do anything with it, so it would just rot in his savings. And what I realized, depreciating. And what I realized is if he just put money in like a
Crypto.
Index fund in the
crypto,
S&P,
Yeah.
crypto was such a.
If
Crypto,
you
he
put
would've been
crypto
poor.
in,
That was a
if
long
you
shot
would've
back in
lost
the
all
day.
his
but
money.
listen, dude,
people
he'd be a
had no hope
millionaire
for
if you
that.
put into
No
the
But
awareness.
what I'm saying is, if he just put something that like in the S&P, like 7 to 10% a year since 30, 40, 50 years, maybe 40 years ago when he got his actual like good salary, by now he would have been balling.
Talking about
but-
King Compound.
Compound interest, man. The
King
most
compound.
powerful law in the universe is compound interest. Anyways, if someone had just told him, just if you don't know what to do with your money, just put it here, and it's better than a savings account, the whole family would have been way better off. I think the fact that people don't know that stuff holds a lot of people back.
Yeah, I mean, all of Europe is basically backlogged like that.
Yeah.
They don't.
They're
they
just
don't,
scared to like, oh, real estate is risky. The stock market is like
Well,
a
they
gambling
imagine that
slot
owning your
machine.
house is like equivalent to retirement. Like, once you own your house, oh, I'm retired.
You live there for life.
Yeah,
All
You-
the generations of the family.
and
live in
the
that house.
government is supposed to take care of you. You know, because they'll send you like
Sure.
$900 or something a month.
Yeah.
You know, so you can eat. It's it's a little complicated over there. How do you guys feel emotionally with women right now?
Matt, let me tell you.
What a
can I
how-
start? I got a lot to
how
say here.
available
What a
are you
left turn.
guys?
I got a lot to say here about
With,
this woman
uh,
conversation, right? First of all, I learned some important lessons over the last since my first girlfriend in grade 12. I learned the red flags. Then I had this little, let's call it a relationship, and I learned the green flags. Then I learned I wasn't ready to handle all this green flag stuff. It's just
You're too used to the red flag.
I was too used to the red flags. My habits were wrong, and I almost feel like the universe, it gave me the red flags, right, to make me realize that. Then it gave me these green flags, and then the universe just took it away just to let me know you can have this, but you're not ready right now.
Didn't the same red flag take away your green flag?
Yeah, it's a cycle of life. You make the same mistakes a million times because you're retarded.
It goes red and green.
but
What about
no.
you, Zoltan? How available are you right now to the idea of
He's locked in,
a relationship?
I've been locked in. I've been doing my thing.
stroking it left, right, center, up, down, diagonal, all the angles.
Yeah,
we know.
no, I mean,
We know what you're saying.
you could put it that way, but
That's some
no, man. I
talk,
mean, I got
right?
my own thing going on. I see my own people. I kind of keep it low key, but that's how it is.
What do you think about
How was that even answering the question?
He's ducking in
I'm
the
ducking.
He's
I'm
ducking.
ducking.
He's
I'm media
he's
trained.
ducking
I'm
the
media
pulling the
trained.
Floyd Mayweather on
I
us.
That is terrible.
I can't name drop people.
Can't name drop. What do you think about the
Name
dating
all-
scene in Vancouver?
Actually,
slash hookup
I got a
culture?
way better question.
I don't think it's
Name
a bad
all of
question.
your previous hookups
That's a terrible.
How about
That's
that?
a
Name them
terrible-
is crazy.
That's
by
a terrible
name
thing. You can't do
and
that.
place and time.
And time
And
show,
location.
Show footage. That'd be cool.
Man,
Pull it up on the screen, Jamie.
we don't have Jamie here.
So, Lucas, what is your body count at?
Okay, I was losing it first.
Yeah, I
That's
was
a good.
I
That's
was
a good
losing
place to
out.
stop it
Fucking-
right there. No, I thought we were just
I was
getting
just
started.
rambling on about some nonsense bullshit.
I thought we were about to get deep.
Oh my God.
What I'm thinking is